What's good, good people? Vets, let's talk. Before we get started, I'd like you guys to click that like, share, and subscribe, man. Hey, man, HBO special. Help a brother out, man. Hey, man, today, Veterans Day, man. Happy Veterans Days to those who serve, active and non-active. Hope y'all getting y'all belly feels on today. Go ahead and go out there and get the meals, man. Today, we're going to be talking about homeless veterans, an ongoing problem that's been going on for years. I need you guys to check out this video that I'm about to play for you guys. Appreciate you guys for watching.
Thousands of Americans who've served and sacrificed in the U.S. military are now living without permanent homes in this country. It is an intricate problem our leaders have repeatedly promised to fix, but could a solution finally be on the horizon? Tonight, our exclusive one-on-one with VA Secretary Dennis McDonough on an ambitious project that's now underway, just steps from one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in America, and why it could be a model for ending veteran homelessness once and for all. Here's our Devin Dwyer.
Here's a phrase that should not exist: homeless vet.
For Dennis McDonough, like generations of VA secretaries before him, homelessness among military veterans is a confounding stain on America's promise.
The American people expect that there not be homeless veterans. The bigger problem for us is going to be if we fail, which is why I'm not going to let us fail.
While the number of homeless vets has dropped by more than half over the last decade, an estimated 20,000 U.S. vets still lack permanent homes. Dozens of homeless veterans had been living on these sidewalks on VA's doorstep just a few months ago, but they've been moved onto the property where they have access to showers, meals, and security. We saw firsthand last month in Los Angeles, home to the largest population of homeless vets in the country, how McDonough's VA is trying to accelerate progress. Feel safer over there,
Behind, over here, no doubt.
The encampment on the West LA VA campus is both beautiful and baffling. Veterans living in the shadow of buildings originally constructed to house and help them after World War II. Some have been sitting idle for decades. These old buildings are just down the road from Beverly Hills. They're turning them into housing for veterans on a sprawling 388-acre campus that will be the largest veterans housing project in America. The vision is ambitious, an estimated $1 billion public-private partnership to transform some of the VA's most valuable real estate into a campus of 1,200 new apartment homes that could house more than a quarter of the city's homeless vets.
No doubt an emphatic answer to an intractable problem. Money.
Steve Peck, a Vietnam combat vet and president of the nation's largest nonprofit serving at-risk veterans, is the lead developer.
Building behind us will be 60 units for senior veterans. The building across the street will be the service center.
So you're out to prove that solving the homeless problem among veterans is more than building a house.
Oh, absolutely. Combining all of the housing and services in one place really gives veterans every opportunity to succeed.
There will be a town center, community kitchen, art and athletic spaces, a therapeutic garden, and easy access to VA medical care. Community Director Tess Banco, a Marine veteran and survivor of military sexual trauma, calls the integration of resources unprecedented and monumental.
I see your smile.
Absolutely inspiring every time I stand in that building and knowing what is happening and what's going to happen at this campus. It's energizing.
But over 6 years since the plan was first approved, just 5% of veteran apartments on the West LA VA campus have been completed. One independent audit faulting a lack of accountability and lack of urgency. I mean, if a private developer wants to buy a parcel and put up an apartment building, it wouldn't take them 5 years.
It is a funding problem. The water, the sewer, the electricity, the telecom, all that has to be redone. And where is that money going to come from?
Peck says developers have raised only a tenth of the total price tag and also need help cutting red tape.
When the top dog says, let's get it done, then people below find a way to get it done.
Yeah, we're going to cut through all the red tape we can. Some of it we can't. Part of the balancing act are things that are required by law.
It doesn't have a target date for completion.
No.
Why is that?
But if I start to go through the reasons, what I'll do is sound like excuses. We'll get to a bigger number here over the course of this year, upwards of almost 200 additional units.
He says that will build confidence in the project, enticing Congress, the state, and private sector to cut checks to keep it going.
When you can see.
Let me say this real quick. The government wants something done. and they say they don't have the funds. Their funds always come from somewhere. Like, you know, renaming bases. What's more important? Homeless people in America or worried about a name? I understand what's behind the name, but at the same time, there's people out here suffering. Hey, let me get back to the video. Sorry about that.
The amount of light in this room. This is a common area.
We saw for ourselves that dozens of units are nearly ready to become homes, but many advocates told us the 10-year or longer timeline to finish the campus is unacceptable.
I know it sometimes I felt forgotten.
Nicholas Cormier is a former Air Force air traffic controller and former resident of Building 257.
You know, and what he just said about him feeling forgotten as a veteran. There's a lot of veterans out there that feel like they're the only person going through what they're going through. Not only veterans feel like that, you got a lot of civilians that feel the same way when they're put in these particular types of situations, and he lost his job. But I just needed to put my 2 cents in somewhere. Let me get back to the video.
After he lost his job and couldn't pay rent.
This is a humanitarian crisis. It's a war zone. It's, you know what I mean? This is how I see addressing the problem is it's boots on the ground every single day.
Joyce Campbell, a Navy veteran who had a good paying job and a home until COVID cost her both, turned to the VA for temporary housing to help her reset.
It's allowed me to settle down my emotional state, you know, and get comfortable in looking forward, as opposed to continually watching my back.
The potential to make a big dent.
See, that's another thing about having something to look forward to. If you're just out there in the dark and you don't know what's going on, where your next meal is coming from, especially as a veteran, and this lady had a good paying job in a nice house, and all of a sudden these things happen to people. And it sucks to see it happen to veterans, because a lot of people, as you know, civilians, they think veterans, they have a perfect life after the military. As far as being accepted for different type of jobs, you know, you're the first in line. And a lot of that is not really true. But let me get back to the video.
Dent in homelessness among vets has won the West LA VA project a small army of backers. Former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, retired Admiral Mike Mullen, is a top fundraiser.
This could be a model for many VA centers across the country.
It seems to me it requires a lot of pressure points to get it moving along.
I've been involved in this project with 4 secretaries, for example. So it becomes very difficult to hold them accountable. I would love to see Congress much more involved.
We work for the Department of Veterans Affairs.
McDonough is trying to keep his focus on the lived experience of vets without a home. We joined him last month to participate in an annual nationwide count of America's homeless in cities coast to coast. He told us being on the streets has given him renewed urgency.
And I'll tell you what, walking around in some tough neighborhoods on as cold a night as we've had in DC is a good reminder of just how difficult it is to be homeless. I've been very clear that I should be held to account for this.
You think and the buck stops with you?
What remains is elbow grease, and we're going to apply the elbow grease. And if it's not applied, then it's my problem.
And, you know, hats off to him for saying that, holding himself accountable. But, and you know, you're not the only one that has to do something about this. And that's not just only for veterans, for civilians too, because it's well, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Our thanks to Devin for that.
The end of the video anyway. You know, I don't think this is a quick fix. It's a lot of things in place to becoming in place to help out a lot of veterans get to a certain place of living, sustainable living. But how do you do that with a system that will partially help you a little bit and back off a little bit and hope the funds just fall out of somewhere, you know? But this country spends a lot of money on things that has nothing to do with its people. I'm just saying. Hey, you know, a lot of veterans, they leave the military without having a purpose. You know, certain tools to succeed, because, you know, they're in the military, they get to a certain status of rank. They in 10, 15, 20, even 5 years, you know. They in 5 years, 10, 15, 20. And, you know, they go to a comfortable place, which is a job. Like it's pretty hard to lose a check in the military unless you're messing up. It's pretty much a straight and narrow. And a lot of these guys come out of the military and their checks are not really set like they used to be set. You have to come and clock in, you know. But man, how do we get in the minds of the hearts of people that this training on the way out? How do we better prepare them on the way in? Hey, you have to be ready for this just in case you think about getting out. How about you educate yourself in places to where you want to be when you get out? It's just sticking things in their head. Hey, military is not forever. What do you want to do when you leave? It's putting in their head once they hit the MEP center, once they hit basic training. Hey, education is important. Trades are important. Finding out about business grants, all of that is important just to prevent and saving your money. Financial classes in the military. You know, back when I first came in, I had to sign a council statement about buying a car. I had to get approval from my NCO. So I don't really think they're doing that. They probably are, but at the same time, classes on finances will help a lot. Some veterans just give up on life, which is a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people because they think we're getting the help that is provided to us, and the help is not really for some. For a lot of people, it helps. I'm not even going to sit there and deny that part, but for a lot of people, that help is not what they want and what they need, and it doesn't really go as far as the front door on the VA, if I should say that. You know, as far as helping them find jobs. Some people are more luckier than others on finding things, especially with the VA benefits. That's another thing that's hard for a lot of veterans to sit back and prove some things that's not in the records. If you're in right now and you're listening to this, go and update your records. Any and every, don't be that soul to say, I'm gonna drink that water and drive on. Things can happen. This is about homeless vets. Now you can like everybody. Don't say never me. I can never say never me. I can try my best to prevent things like this from happening. I'm not on a pedestal to sit back and say this can never happen to me. Me personally, I think everybody's tore a lot of short from being homeless, even the rich people. It's just learning how to manage certain things when things need to be managed. What can we do? Education. Mental health is another thing with the checking out. It's big. Mental health is real big with checking out. Because I've met a couple of homeless veterans. This being a military town, they just don't want to deal with life anymore. Wife left them. Kids don't want anything to do with them. So they just, they just back up and they just live on the street. And, they don't want to sit back. And not to say that they're broke. A couple guys I run across are 100%. They eat every day. They just live in a tent because that's comfortable for them. How do we get them to sit back and see like, hey, this is not okay. If somebody's going through something, maybe you can be a light to sit back. And like when I talk to them, they do give me kind of a boost because they do spit a lot of knowledge and wisdom, telling me certain things on how to navigate myself and how to navigate through like the system, the VA system. Like, how can we push to homeless people that there is help out there, even though it really doesn't seem like it. Because to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of people, it just seems like don't want anything to do. They just drive past them. They just look at them. I just seen a person sit back and say, I'm not giving you anything. Go get a job. I've seen this. Like a couple weeks ago, I've seen this, Heartless. Him sitting back thinking that will never be me. I'm working. You can work too. First off, you never know what a person has been through. You never know what they're going through on their head. You don't know how they got to the place of where they are right now. So don't just necessarily go and think about they just being lazy and don't want to work. People lose their job and people go through things mentally, people go through things physically. So don't be so quick to look down on a veteran or a homeless civilian for that matter. A homeless and at-risk veterans need more than just shelter. We must give them the tools to empower themselves and reclaim the self-worth and dignity which comes from accompanying a place in America's dream. It is a dream they fought for so hard to defend for the rest of us. Hey man, hats off to each and every veteran that has served, active and non-active. Once again, happy Veterans Day. Who's up next for Formation? Appreciate you guys for listening. Don't forget to click that like, share, and subscribe. Let's talk. Who's up next for Formation?